Today we are going to talk about fighting for healthcare with a disability in this country. We're going to partly talk about what that means as far as the healthcare fight goes, but how people frame this fight and its impact on people with disabilities. And I'm going to specifically talk about the disability of a fragrance reactive disability, where getting access to the physical building and let alone the services within is extremely difficult, if not impossible, when the healthcare entities are doing nothing to be fragrance free at baseline. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because this fight for healthcare, when you have a fragrance reactive disability, is dangerous because our care is being denied and we're being excluded. And this isn't a momentary thing. This goes on times years. There are people with fragrance reactive disabilities who have been excluded from healthcare for decades. They're completely unsupported. They don't get to enjoy the privilege of paying too much for dental care. They don't get to invest in their health and the maintenance of their body. These are fundamental rights that are guaranteed to us by the ADA, which is a civil rights law. Yet we're still not getting the care that we need. And this is universal. It's across the United States. It's across all socioeconomic strata. It's across all other marginalized identities. It's across every healthcare setting. And what I want to talk about is some of the language that's being used to groom people with this kind of disability into complacency. So one of the words that I want abolished is the word frustrating and frustrated. When I, as a person with this particular disability, indicate exactly how long it's been that I have been excluded from healthcare, what does that look like for me? What health implications does it have? How much time, money, energy, health do I have to waste because I'm being excluded from healthcare? And it is particularly egregious when the person I'm talking to says, "That must be really frustrating for you." I do not have kind words running through my head when that happens, because this isn't frustrating. Frustrating is an emotion. Frustrating is, the cable guy said that he would be here between 12 and 4, and I really wanted to watch Maury at 4. And I missed Maury because the cable guy didn't come until 5 o'clock to fix my cable. I'm so frustrated. That would be an appropriate use of frustration. Frustrating. When you are talking about an exclusion from healthcare that is literally costing people their lives, stop using the word frustrating. This is killing us. It is dangerous. It is not frustrating. The next one is the word comfortable. We're talking about our safety. Fragrances endanger our safety. We need health care. When we're talking about trying to get health care and do it in a way that is safe for us, physically safe, not emotionally safe, physically safe for us, to be told that, of course, we want you to feel safe, or we want you to feel comfortable. You have just taken a medical necessity and reduced it to an emotion. This isn't about being comfortable. It is about being safe. It's important to recognize that difference. The ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, is civil rights legislation. We are often told that it's not a civil rights law. Go to the ADA online, and the first thing that it talks about is that it's a civil rights law. But here's the thing with the ADA. It is an individual rights law. You as a person with a disability have individual rights. So when people tell us, and this happens often, that we would get the care that we need if we just banded together, if we found more people like us, so that we, could petition the hospitals to start going fragrance free, or, if we had more people on our side, then the hospitals would have to listen, or the healthcare would have to listen. That's very insulting. Because, again, we have been reduced to our value as an individual only exists if there's more people like us. Well, what happens if you're the only person in the entire world with your particular disability? Then what? According to the ADA, you still have rights. You have a right to the health care. You have a right to inclusion in society. It's supposedly guaranteed by the ADA. And yet, how many of us are living without the most basic necessities of human existence, healthcare being one of them? We have got to call out the grooming that is being done, that is keeping people with disabilities compliant with a broken system. They're breeding complacency. And a lot of it comes down to victim blaming. We're told by one group that if we want our care, we need to appeal to the emotions of the person that we're talking to and really, get them to feel our pain and get them to hear us. Yet another advocacy group tells us to, be careful not to use emotion. We don't want to be emotional. We need to be patient and calm. Notice all of the emotional words in those sentences? Yeah. The ADA does not require a certain emotion to request the accommodations. Business professional will do just fine in all situations. You do not have to worry about appealing to emotions. In this setting, or according to these advocates, you should be emotional, but according to those advocates, you shouldn't be emotional. You weren't patient enough. You weren't calm enough. You were not firm enough. You didn't explain well enough. You were too firm. You explained too well. You were not thorough enough. You were too thorough. Now you have to make friends with the receptionist and the nurse in the doctor's office. And if you can make friends in there, then that's how it's going to all break down. And that's how you're going to get the care that you need. These are lame excuses. And it's victim blaming. If I have accurately communicated my need to a healthcare entity, and I have explained the barrier I encountered and the disability that requires accommodation with that knowledge, I've done my job. It is not my job to follow them around and beg for the next 10 years to maybe possibly get them to see me as a human and give me the care that I need. I've done my job under federal law. And they are violating federal law when they do not accommodate you and give you the care that you need. And most times, you don't even get that far. You say the word disability, and they're showing you the door. They're telling you that you would be more comfortable somewhere else. Just because you said the word disability. All other things being equal. You know that they're taking new patients because you asked. You know that they're taking your insurance because you asked. You've been given an appointment. You registered as a new patient. And then you bring up that you have a disability and you require accommodation. And the excuses start. And the victim blaming starts. And what it amounts to is if you can't self-accommodate, you're not getting your care. So what the hell good is the ADA if it leaves us that exposed and that vulnerable? And we're told that if we want that care, we have to find more people like us in our communities that we can band together and put, societal pressure on these healthcare entities to go fragrance-free so that we can finally get the care we need. Again, what happens when you're the only one in your community? Do your needs go away? Because what's going to happen is you're going to be denied healthcare for so long, it will kill you. It will straight up kill you. It is disability eugenics. But we're not allowed to be pissed about this. Our attitude must be the problem. Well, if you have spent this many years, and I do mean years, fighting a problem that should never exist, and you've been denied health care, and you've watched your health deteriorate as a result while you go over and over and over this same fight, trying to get this same care for a disability you did not choose. You're just trying to live with it. Wouldn't you be pissed too? It's not a fault with the person with the disability that they're this pissed. It's the result of years of fighting and structured begging just to be allowed to exist and being dehumanized at every turn. It's a fight that's killing us. And we have a right to be raw and own it. So if you are a person who is framing the struggle as being frustrating, and you tell that person, that disabled person, that if they really wanted care, they would be trying harder. Who's going to get you that care? I mean, who's really going to do all of this work? I mean, if you're not willing to invest in your health, why do you expect other people to do it? If you're one of those people who's saying those things, stop it. Stop it now. We are humans. We are trying to exist. And if we are asking for an accommodation, I promise you, it's not because we think it's a fun thing to do. Boy, I really think it'd be so much fun to ask for an accommodation and get dehumanized over and over and over again. If we're asking for an accommodation, it's because it's the bare minimum that we need to survive and get the health care that we need. So if you have a person with a disability asking for accommodation, just frickin' do it. Give them their accommodation. They never wanted to ask you for it in the first place. And if you're a person that sits there and continually gaslights people with disabilities into thinking that it's their fault, that if they were less disabled, that's how they would get care, you need to stop that shit too. Disability is an immutable fact about a person. It's an immutable characteristic. If the only solution to this discrimination is for the person who's disabled to stop being as disabled, then society has a significant problem, and it's called eugenics. We are being excluded from healthcare, which means we will have poorer health outcomes, and we will die off faster. We have a system in place that favors the fit, quote unquote, over the unfit, quote unquote. That's eugenics. So, stop with the gaslighting language. When a person with a disability asks for an accommodation, give it. And when people with disabilities talk about their lived experiences, listen. That's all I've got for today.